My name is Martin Cowan. I'm contributing editor for tnooz. I'm here today talking to Tamara Lohan, who's co-founder of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. She's joined by Hynes, who's founder of eNett. As successful entrepreneurs, what's the biggest advice that you'd give to somebody wanting to start a travel company up today?
A travel company? I know you'd probably say don't. I think the single best piece of advice I ever got was surround yourself with smarter people. That would probably be the number one thing. And I often say to our staff, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So for me, it would be surround yourself with really smart people because your chances of success are just magnified enormously if you do. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think that's really good advice. I sit on the advisory board, interestingly, for the Travel Tech Lab here in London, and so I see a lot of travel startups, and I think that the advice that I'd give them and where I try and channel them is having that point of difference, because there are so many companies out there and there are some 10-ton gorillas in the travel space who just have endless pockets of cash. And so when you're a startup trying to get yourself out there, it really helps if you've got a very strong raison d'etre and you've got a point of differentiation that kind of makes you stand out.
When you started Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think it was 2002, was there an entrepreneurial network for you to tap into?
No, or if there was one, I had no idea. But when we started Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it wasn't actually supposed to be a proper business. It was a hobby. My husband and I came at it from a consumer. We were just frustrated with then the guidebooks that were out there, and the research that we did would end us up at these just awful hotels. And so we knew there were fantastic hotels out there, and after many frustrating weekends away, we just said enough is enough. We're going to put these into a book. And naivety is the entrepreneur's most useful tool. My husband turned around to me and said, how hard can it be?
Okay, and from your perspective, you didn't set up eNett as a hobby. You had a more sort of corporate approach to setting up the startup. But even in that level, was there a sort of entrepreneurial network or the mentoring that's available now?
Certainly not in Australia. And I think very similarly, when I think about eNett, it came about because we were looking at help a company with a different problem around electronic vouchers in the hotel space. And when I understood how they worked, which I like to do, I'm inquisitive, so I want to understand end to end how do these things work. And when I kind of went through it all, you realise that there's a 9-month gap here in cash flow. And when I highlighted this to the CEO of the hotel chain, he said, well, yeah, that's just how it works. And I just thought it was ridiculous. So, kind of down tools and jumped on planes and went all over the world trying to find, surely there's some electronic payment system for the travel industry, and there wasn't. So decided to build one.
What do you think are the personality traits, that if there was a Venn diagram of personality traits for an entrepreneur, what would be in the cross-section in the middle of all three?
For me, it would be resilience. And I mean resilience, not just being able to cope with change that comes. And I think resilience is going to be a key skill that people are going to need as the world is becoming ever more demanding, ever more fast and furious, and ever more disintermediated. I think that it's that ability not just to, cope with change, but to take it to the next level and adapt and change with it and push it forward. And that's what resilience captures for me.
Yeah, I think I would always say tenacity, but it's probably, listening to your description of resilience, it's probably that. It's not easy. There are ups and downs. There are a huge number of challenges. They come all day, every day. When I try and explain to my children what I do for a living, I just simply say I solve problems. And honestly, that's what...
Fight the dragons.
Yeah, that's what founders do, right? Or CEOs do. Largely, you say solve problems for people. Gets me into trouble at home sometimes because I just like to solve problems quickly and move on and see if you get to listen occasionally, or so I'm told. But I think if you don't have that resilience, or you don't have, I've used tenacity, then you're just not going to make it.
Do you think, would you set up eNett if you had your time again? Could you set it up now?
That's Such a difficult
Yeah,
question
yeah.
for any entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I think. Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Would you look at the B2B payment space as somewhere where you could start a business?
I'm going to have a bet and say our answer will be very similar here, and the answer to that is absolutely. Because if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here. You know, it's not like we've landed. There's still more to do. There's, you know, the world's changing for our customers. We need to help them deal with that, and their partners. We need to help them deal with that. So there's definitely a proposition that eNett has that resonates and makes sense for people today. And I think, you know, we've got an obligation to continue to build upon that and continue delivering solutions for our customers so that their customers have a better experience, and ultimately, you know, the engagement with their suppliers and partners is a good one too. So definitely, would I right now, where I am in my life, would I start again and go back to the 150 hours a week and not being able to, you know, pay the light bill? Probably not. Just because it was really hard.
Would you do it all again, or could you do it all again?
I think the world moves on, so you couldn't do the same thing again.
No.
eNett would be completely different.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith would be completely different if we started it again today.
And you have the
hopefully I
benefit
would
of
have
all these years of experience.
exactly what I was
So
going to say. Yeah.
you're just not going to make the same number of mistakes.
Thank God.
Well, you would hope, right? You would hope that you would be able to do it faster, smarter, cheaper.
Exactly. With bigger margins.
Yeah, you'd hope. But who knows? I mean, sometimes these things, you know, come about without even the simplest of plans. It's just someone has a good idea and turns out to resonate, and you make it up as you go along. And that's, you know, not a bad thing either, as long as you've got that resilience and tenacity that we talked about earlier.